Gex.
The ad guys started dreaming up new ways to create sponsored Gex Trilogy content.
We incorporate real lizards.
They mostly just took smelling salts instead.
Just go to every public bathroom in the area and write Gex on the bathroom stall walls.
What do we get from this?
So we put real lizards in there?
Yeah.
Let's put them in space!
We're here to think of promo ideas and you just keep hitting the salts.
I don't know who the lizard is. We don't have the budget for more lizards. We can't put them to space.
What are we losing the budget on?
Food?
You might as well hit it again. Anything coming in?
I like the green. I like he has a little bit of purple in him as well. The tail is interesting.
How do we tie into that? We know that. This is established stuff. What do we do with the greens and the purples?
We get him high energy. We get him excited.
You know what gives you high energy?
I think of a couple things, yeah.
I told them, play the game! It's the only way to see the classic titles with new features, bonus material, and no smelling salts of Gex Trilogy releasing on June 16th.
See what you're saying about that brand tie-in? Gex, smelling salts?
Sam?
And you say nobody cares about you. See, look, a giant corporation that doesn't care about you does. They gave you the game you bitched about. Why are you still bitching? That's how I feel Nintendo thinks most of the time. And for a company that's constantly labeled as they don't give a shit about you, they will do whatever they want, they do seem to kind of, like cater to the fans quite a bit. I'm not saying it isn't true they don't give a shit and they'll do whatever they want. I'm just saying that there's been numerous times I can recount that Nintendo did listen to fans, or, hey, at the very least, a happy accident occurred and what fans were begging for, Nintendo already had in development, and it dropped at the right time. But this is probably one of the most famous examples of when Nintendo listened to the fans. It's The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. This was revealed back at E3 2004, and just the reveal itself is labeled as one of the greatest E3 moments of all time. And when you watch that reveal in the audience, just the bombastic reactions, you can tell this was a huge deal. This came after the big fallout of The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker releasing for the GameCube with its cutesy boy art style. As good of a game Wind Waker was, it definitely wasn't what a lot of the vocal fans on the message boards really wanted. They wanted a gritty Zelda game, something that kind of elicited the same feelings of Lord of the Rings, because that series was big at the time, but also something that kind of felt like a more grown-up version of Ocarina of Time on the N64, which is what Nintendo actually showed back when the GameCube was still being developed, and they were showing all these tech demos at one of their Space World conventions. This Zelda tech demo of Link and Ganondorf fighting just really stayed in so many fans' minds. I think many people thought, hey, this is the Zelda game we're getting for the GameCube. No, you're getting a goddamn puppet show with Wind Waker. Link has cat eyes, isn't that cute? Twilight Princess was specifically designed to appeal to, the more modern Western market, people that wanted a little grittier, kind of darker game. And I don't think this went against Nintendo's ethos of game design or kind of the Zelda series as a whole. It's not like this was a bloody gore fest. This was still a Zelda game. In fact, it felt very much like Ocarina of Time. It's kind of exactly what many people thought would come after Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on the N64. And of course, people have their preferences. I look at Twilight Princess as almost kind of the de facto ultimate Zelda game. It has so many dungeons. It's so epic. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Zelda game. Of course, I haven't even beaten it yet. I'm still trudging through all the Zelda games. My goal is to beat every game, and I'm getting there. But Twilight Princess, I probably made it about a third, maybe halfway through, but I did really enjoy what I played. This does feel hey, this is the ultimate Zelda game. And while I feel like Wind Waker definitely feels like this was made because the developers wanted to make this, it feels like it was crafted out of love. Twilight Princess feels like it was crafted out of love in a different way, almost like it was love for the fans, for people that were begging for Zelda to take kind of a more mature step, which is very similar to how Breath of the Wild felt. This was kind of created as a response to Skyward Sword and its problems back in 2011. Now, Skyward Sword, as good of a game as it is, it definitely got quite a bit of flack for being kind of just the same old from Zelda. In fact, really leaning into the Zelda formula that Ocarina of Time started. And with the style they were going for with that game. Skyward Sword is definitely very linear, you know, like a lot of its design really kind of boils down to do this and do it specifically the way the game wants you to, which kind of didn't really make it feel like it was your adventure, you know, and that kind of felt like, you know, that's what Zelda was kind of all about. And in 2011, when Skyward Sword was going up against stuff like, you know, to Skyrim, you know, that style of 3D Zelda game was starting to wane on people. I think people really wanted to see like a genuine evolution. Skyward Sword kind of felt like a weird little like, let's try to do this with 3D Zelda, which pretty much amounted to like, you know, motion control. And I think they did a good enough job with that. They were really able to turn combat into a genuine puzzle, which is, you know, pretty cool. But I remember from 2011 to like 2016, 2017, like it was just nonstop, just bitch about Skyward Sword Fest. That's what it felt like. It was like you didn't hear anybody say anything nice about Skyward Sword. And like before this game even got revealed at E3 2014, like fully, like the first time we actually saw footage of it, a lot of people were saying how, hey, we really want to see open world Zelda. And God, like we want to get rid of all these annoying things from Zelda games. We want voice acting. We want to stop seeing the same pop-up every time we get like a rupee again. Like I know what 5 rupees means. I've already gotten this item before. I don't need to see another pop-up box explaining what this item is. And Breath of the Wild came in and gave us pretty much a response to all of the complaints regarding 3D Zelda games at this time. Even stuff like, oh man, the beginning is so slow, the tutorials are too much. Breath of the Wild, like you can skip literally like everything. Yeah, unless you're like speed running the game and you can kind of cheese some things. You still have to go through like the first 4 shrines, but if you know what you're doing, you can just head right to them and just get everything. You don't need to worry about anything. You don't need to talk to a bunch of NPCs you don't care about. If you're annoyed by anything in Breath of the Wild, you can generally just avoid it. And what they did with this game was they pretty much rethunk not only the Zelda franchise, but open world games as a whole. And it's pretty damn wild that the exact same year, they pretty much responded to all the complaints regarding the Mario franchise at the time. New Super Mario Bros. Was an incredible game. Back during the DS era. In fact, you could also see that as them listening to fans because hey, we didn't have like an original 2D Mario since the Game Boy. It's like 15 years since we got anything. And we got New Super Mario Bros., which was a love letter to classic 2D Mario while also pushing it forward. You know, Nintendo did that a lot in that era. Donkey Kong Country came back. Kirby came back to console with Kirby's Epic Yarn and then Kirby's Return to Dreamland. A lot of back to basic stuff. Honestly, I view that as like listening to the fans because yeah, I mean, like, it's bringing back what the fans loved about these games while also doing some new things and creating, like, just, you know, an amazing new entry in the franchise. Like, Donkey Kong Country Returns is phenomenal. But they can kind of go a little too far in that direction. And I think listening to fans that much by, like, hey, we're going back to our roots. We're gonna bring back classic this, classic that. It can kind of just, it wears on you after a while. New Super Mario Bros. Is great. And then they brought it to console with New Super Mario Bros. Wii. That was awesome. But then it felt like after New Super Mario Bros. Wii, everything Mario was like themed around New Super Mario Bros. Wii, you know? Like generic ass, green ass Mushroom Kingdom with Peach's Castle in the background. Yeah, it's most Mario games, but like for a while there, like it felt like whenever you'd see like the Mushroom Kingdom appear, it always looked exactly like it did in New Super Mario Bros. Wii. And now that did well, so New Super Mario Bros. 2 came in, and that pretty much just repeated everything New Super Mario Bros. Wii did. And the same can be said for New Super Mario Bros. U. And then that infected the 3D games as well. You had Super Mario 3D Land, which, you know, is an amazing game. I love 3D Land. But yeah, that was a very vanilla 3D Mario. And then Super Mario 3D World, again, a great game, but it wasn't like Mario Galaxy, or even more specifically, like Mario 64 or Mario Sunshine, kind of having like a large open sandbox to control 3D Mario in with a big moveset. And like a lot of the worlds you were in, a lot of the enemies you were facing, you know, for the most part, a lot of them were classic enemies, a lot of them were also brand new things, but it all just felt kind of like basic Mario. Didn't really give you the same feeling that like a Mario Galaxy gave me back when that game was new, or like how Super Mario 64 was so new and gave you just this wide open world to just explore. 3D Land and 3D World were very linear, very straightforward. Just, hey, just get to the end. And when even the Mario spin-offs were kind of like feeling like this as well, where it's like, hey, we're sticking to like the new Super Mario Brothers staples. Nothing crazy, like Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. Like, there's not a single weird fucking thing in that game. It's just all standard-ass weird things. I want weirder weird things. And I honestly felt like sanitizing Mario to that extent kind of hurt the brand for a bit there. Made it just not very interesting, you know? Like, I still love these games, and I still always wanted to try them out, pick them up, play the hell out of them. But, like, there wasn't really anything new to explore, new to discover with them. But it did make sense for Nintendo to really focus in on, like, this 3D world style. I mean, like, it's easier for anybody to pick up and play. You know, 3D Mario is now more like 2D Mario with that game. So it's obviously easier to understand than, you know, Mario 64. Even though that game, you know, you can pretty much just play by moving around and jumping and maybe punching. That's about it. Things are definitely way more complicated in a game like that. So, you know, it made sense if Nintendo was like, no, we don't want to do like open world sandbox Mario style anymore. And, you know, like it also made sense as to why they wanted to like sanitize the franchise so much, because then, you know, like it's easier to sell merchandise and sell people on all the other games if they all included the exact same things. Like the RPG series, Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi, those got weird as hell with their side characters and the worlds you'd explore. Like some of these, like you never see in a traditional Mario game, which made them really fun. But I feel like they thought everything had to follow like the new Super Mario formula and style guide and all that for a bit there, which made Mario Odyssey so damn good. This game was everything I wanted and then some back in 2016 when it was initially teased in the Nintendo Switch reveal trailer. I remember at that time, a lot of people were like pointing at this and going like, nah, that looks like another 3D World style game. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I don't understand. Like, what? Because like there were like gold rings or something that you go through and get coins in? Like all Mario games have stuff like this. Like this isn't obviously a wide open world. Mario looks like there's like actual detail on him. There's more lighting. It doesn't look like so plasticky like 3D World did. And during the Switch presentation in 2017 when we got the full reveal trailer of this game, yeah, this game was exactly what we wanted. Even to the point where Nintendo released like this infographic which showed that, you know, this game is more in line with Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine compared to even Mario Galaxy, Galaxy 2, 3D Land, and 3D World, which they classified as like, okay, these are like linear, course clear 3D Mario games. And then this is more in line with like, this is a true like open sandbox. And even with how the game looked, like I think this game looked exactly like what I really wanted from Mario at the time, which was something like a little less, you know, plasticky, just something with a little more zazz to it, more detail, more texture, just more personality than just what we've already come to expect from Mario. Which was exactly what they did with Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which this felt like a response to the backlash with specifically 2D Mario, which, you know, became very stagnant. All the new Super Mario Bros. Games pretty much like played and felt the exact same. Yes, there were differences between all of them, but when they ported New Super Mario Bros. U to the Switch with New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, I felt like alongside a lot of other people, like, man, why wouldn't they just do like a compilation of all the new Super Mario Bros. Games? Do a new Super Mario All-Stars where you get, you know, the DS, Wii, 3DS, Wii U ones all in one. The answer to that is all these games are practically the same, so why put in much more effort when you could just port New Super Mario Bros. U and it would sell just as well. And God, New Super Mario Bros. U is just boring. Like, it's a fine game. It's well designed, all that nonsense, whatever. Like, this is just me saving my ass before I just grip my freaking nails into it. I'm so sick of New Super Mario Bros. U. I never need to play that game ever again. Super Mario Bros. Wonder finally released in 2023 after a very long wait between like mainline new 2D Mario games. It's not like we didn't have anything. I mean, we had like the Mario Maker titles, you had Super Mario Run on mobile, but this definitely took a very long time to release after New Super Mario Bros. U, which was kind of the last big main one. Over a 10-year wait, and they had a lot to live up to. because, you know, Mario is the 2D platforming, like, king, even if, like, many games and many franchises have kind of, you know, surpassed the Mario series in terms of quality and just design innovation. You know, Mario's still Mario. You know, you go back to the originals, back on the NES and Super Nintendo. Like, this franchise deserved a lot more than new Super Mario Bros. U. But with stuff like the Kirby games, Donkey Kong Country series, even the Yoshi series with Yoshi's Woolly World, Nintendo's own franchises were honestly showing up 2D Mario at this point. Even third parties, you know, you have Rayman Origins and Legends, Sonic Mania, even like Celeste, like all of these games were like doing more interesting, innovative things with 2D platforming than Mario was. So when the idea of a new 2D Mario for Switch was starting to float around, I think a lot of people were thinking like, yeah, they have to do something new and different and interesting with 2D Mario. And they did. Shows to me that Nintendo is comprised of actual human beings that can look at games and understand that, like, wow, new Super Mario Bros. U isn't very interesting. You know, I wouldn't say Wonder is like this crazy leap forward, but it is definitely exactly what 2D Mario really needed. Just something fresh and something new. Which, oh, might as well keep talking about Mario because honestly, kind of the giant RPG flood from 2023 to 2024 kind of goes along with it, as I feel like all of these are huge responses to fan feedback and what fans were begging for. I mean, starting up, you know, bringing back the original Super Mario RPG. For a while, many people have been begging for a sequel. You know, like I've asked for a sequel. I've always really loved the feel and style of Mario RPG. But a remake, honestly, it makes the most sense. I mean, like what, you're already like 20 plus years later, and like this game is already kind of like, you know, it is a bit of a licensing fiasco sometimes. You know, you have to have Square Enix and Nintendo on board. And even then, re-releasing the game, like, yeah, back on the Super Nintendo, these graphics were pretty stellar. Playing it these days, it's kind of like, yeah, this was definitely pretty stellar in the 90s. So I think just remaking the game for Nintendo Switch, just offering it as more of a modern experience, is incredible. Like, it's a huge deal. Playing this game, like, it doesn't really hook me, honestly. I think the Mario RPG remake kind of sits in like an awkward space for me between like, oh, it's really great that like this is like the same as like how it always was. But like the fact that they modernized a couple of things makes me go, it's just like, man, this game just feels like I just needed to go like a couple steps further in terms of modernizing just the feel of it, I guess. Like visually, I think it's really cute how it looks really in line with the original, but even just like how things move and how things even sound, like the fact that no characters even make a peep, just makes for an oddly slow and lonely experience for me. And I know that is unpopular and I know I'm wrong, so let's shut the f up. Still, it was an incredible thing to get that remake. Much like how it was an incredible thing to get this remake. Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door remake on Nintendo Switch. This might be one of the biggest examples of Nintendo listening to fans. I mean, Paper Mario has been through the damn gutter. I feel like this franchise really suffered from a variety of different like forms of feedback, both internally and externally. So you had Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door on the GameCube. Everybody adored it. You got like incredible review scores, sold pretty well on the GameCube. Fans love this game. And then they did Super Paper Mario. What the f happened? People love Super Paper Mario, but Super Paper Mario is Super Paper Mario. It is not even slightly close to this game. Completely different gameplay style, like visually even, like they go for like this like weird geometric like internet style. It is like far away from what the Thousand Year Door was trying to do. People love that game for its story. The gameplay is at the very least like, you know, pretty interesting, like shipped away from a traditional RPG, trying to like kind of mesh RPG elements with, you know, 2D platforming. But I feel like the internal feedback the developers got from that game is like, let's rein it in, buddy. Like all of the stuff you're trying to do with this game, all of these different characters, all this stuff, like it's getting a little too much. Make the next game a traditional, like more standard Paper Mario RPG, and maybe just like let's keep it to Mario universe characters only. Like let's not do this this nonsense. So when Paper Mario for the 3DS was revealed at E3 2010, you know, it was definitely a much more typical Paper Mario experience. They still showed like different characters you would run into, and you know, it was definitely a different game than what we got in late 2012 with Sticker Star. But you know, it felt like kind of like, you know, reining things in and kind of going like, this is more classic Paper Mario. But then around this time, I think they were really pushing for like everything to get that new Super Mario Brothers just vanilla flavor. So they yanked any like weird different kind of characters they had from that game. You didn't get any partners in Paper Mario Sticker Star. There was no like unique characters outside of like your little helper character Kirsty, which who the hell cares about Kirsty? And they really just zoned in on the gimmick of that game, which was stickers. Like you have this giant sticker album, you're constantly collecting stickers and you use them as attacks. And it became one of the worst games Nintendo ever produced. Not necessarily from a polish standpoint. I think Paper Mario Sticker Star looks and sounds great. Even the feel of gameplay, I think, is pretty decent. I think it is kind of fun to collect stickers. It's kind of fun to peel them off and, you know, use them in battle. You know, like I do think it introduces interesting gameplay mechanics and ideas. The problem is, that's all it does, it introduces them, and then they don't do anything with them. In fact, they introduce further mechanics that completely go against the mechanics they also introduced, and it just creates bad game design. Things don't flow properly. It's just, it's not good. In addition to the fact that the game has absolutely no personality, it's garbage. There's no characters, there's no partners. The worlds are all generic ass Mario worlds. But then it was weird because they did it again. Paper Mario Color Splash. Definitely a much better game than Sticker Star, but it is Sticker Star 2. Has the same style of gameplay and also has the same like weird limitations they set on like, you know, oh, unique characters, unique settings. It's definitely more unique than Sticker Star, but it's still cut from Sticker Star's cloth. And it is weird because the Mario and Luigi series was still going on at that time. 2013, the year after Sticker Star, we got Mario and Luigi Dream Team, and that didn't seem like it had to deal with a lot of the limitations that Paper Mario Sticker Star faced of like, oh, no unique characters or unique locations. Dream Team didn't have any of those problems. But then in 2016, when the follow-up Mario and Luigi Paper Jam released, that did suffer from those problems, and it was very much like, oh, we're just in a big old new Super Mario Brothers-esque world. Paper Mario The Origami King released in 2020, and that was definitely like a step above Color Splash, so they were getting back to, you know, Paper Mario with more personality, a bit more of a story, and a bit more like typical gameplay. But it felt like for some reason they were always being held to this weird standard of like, okay, like you can have maybe some unique characters, but they can't be too unique. Like, okay, like maybe you can have a little more unique locales. Okay, maybe let's go back to more traditional RPG gameplay, but let's remove XP points and let's turn it into like this weird little puzzle. It was weird. Like, they were doing some weird stuff with Paper Mario. And as things were getting better, it was still strange that we were kind of stuck in like this weird little limbo with the series. Like, it was a shame to be an RPG, but at that point, I'm like, why are you still doing turn-based combat? Like, why not just make it like an interesting little like adventure game? But when we got the reveal that they were remaking the Thousand Year Door, that threw a lot of these like worries out of the window. Yes, it's still to be seen if they'll do a brand new Paper Mario that is more in the Thousand Year Door style, but it does show that Nintendo was listening to fans when it comes to, hey, let's remake a Paper Mario. They've never remade a Paper Mario before, and if they are having problems with, you know, kind of getting, you know, classic Paper Mario fans to enjoy the new stuff, why not go back and remake an old game? Well, it wouldn't make sense if they would remake like the first Paper Mario. It is the first Paper Mario after all. But no, they went with this one. They went with the one that is critically the most well-loved. It's the most well-loved by fans. And it's the one that people have been screaming at Nintendo to just acknowledge at the very least. And I think even like looking at how they went about this game, you know, like the designs they used for these characters are the old school designs. You look at like the Koopa Troopas in this game. They look like how they did back on the GameCube, but you know, like redone a little bit, you know, kind of brought up with higher resolutions. They could have very much used the Koopa Troopa designs from Paper Mario, The Origami King, or Color Splash, and like, I think some of the very nitpicky fans would have been like, damn you! But 99% of people would be like, who cares? Me personally, like, I don't really care. Like, yeah, it's just like if I compare the Koopa Troopa designs from the Thousand Year Door to any of the modern Paper Marios, like, yeah, the Thousand Year Door ones look funnier. They look cooler. Like, sure, why not? But like, this is splitting hairs. At the end of the day, I don't really care. But even like something simple like the white outline Paper Mario had in Color Splash and Origami King, a lot of fans hated that. I didn't mind at all. I thought it was fine. I thought it kind of like really did push the paper aesthetic even more, which, you know, were very much emphasized in those games. But in this one right here, they give the characters a bit of depth where you can see like the edges of the paper. But that's all they do. And I think a lot of people really appreciated that. And then just for good measure, they brought back Mario and Luigi, and with a brand new game. You know, these other two were just remakes. This one is a brand new game, and it doesn't have all the problems that Paper Jam had when it comes to the personality getting sucked out. Brothership actually has like new species in the Mario and Luigi world. Like this is very much going for like, you know, what the previous RPGs did before like that weird vanilla Mario funk phase. Which, hey, to round things out with Mario games, listening to fans, hear me out here. Super Mario Party is definitely a very flawed game, and you know, they got it right eventually with stuff like Mario Party Superstars and Super Mario Party Jamboree, but at the very least, this showed that Nintendo was listening when it comes to the gameplay style of Mario Party. They could have very well kept going with the Mario Party 9, Mario Party 10, garbage-ass car setup. But no, Super Mario Party brought things back to how things were with the first 8 Mario Party entries. It didn't do it well, but hey, it showed they were listening to what fans wanted and what worked best, and I appreciate that because it did lead to much better games with Superstars and Jamboree. Now, the Pokemon series is definitely a little bit more like they listen, and sometimes it can go really good, sometimes it can go Pokemon Scarlet. I genuinely do feel like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet were responses to a lot of the complaints that Pokemon has become incredibly stagnant. Like, it is pretty wild to me that, you know, Pokemon Sword and Shield released in 2019, and kind of the biggest complaint with those games is the fact that, it's just more of the same Pokemon. You know, obviously people were clowning on, you know, the visual quality of the game and whatnot, but I think I saw a lot of people mainly talking about how, yeah, you know, like for Pokemon's first big home console entry, this sure does just feel like another Pokemon game. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I genuinely do feel like they were trying to push things forward, you know, an open world Pokemon game. And definitely kind of like moving the series into a brand new era. You know, like they really tried with this. I feel like they were genuinely listening, because one of the complaints people had with Sword and Shield at the time was how, oh man, Pokemon and Game Freak, they're just completely content with doing the same old, just keeping Pokemon coming out the exact same as it always does, because who the hell cares? People will buy it because it's Pokemon. But it shows to me that they really care about, like, hey, well, let's do something new. Let's at least try to push it in a different direction. It didn't work out incredibly well, but hey, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sold really well, and I think a lot of people still really appreciated and really enjoyed these games. You know, they may have came out a little crusty, but hey, I think it shows they were listening. Alongside Pokemon Legends Arceus, you know, the fact that I feel like that shows that they want to do something new, and they were listening to the fact that, like, some people were just kind of bored of the standard Pokemon style. Well, here's a new style of mainline Pokemon game alongside a new style of mainline Pokemon game. Along with just doing new Pokemon Snap, man. I mean, this was a request for decades. Just like, oh my God, please do a new Pokemon Snap game. So yeah, here's a new Pokemon Snap game. I hate this logo. Just looks bad. Honestly, I can go on and on. Hell, I can go on about like bad things that's happened. Like when they brought back Star Fox with Star Fox Zero. I mean, they were listening to people there. Everybody was begging for a new Star Fox game. Also, people were begging for Wii U games that use the gamepad. So you got a twofer there. And it sucked at being both. But even stuff like Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. You know, people have been begging for a Zelda game with, you know, Zelda. For a while, Nintendo's developers were kind of implying like, well, that doesn't make sense. That's impossible. And then they were just like, here you go. Now, Super Smash Brothers is really focused on fan feedback. They even opened up a whole ballot during the Smash Wii U days back in like April of 2015, where you could vote for whatever character you wanted. You could vote as many times as you wanted. Nintendo genuinely wanted fan feedback. And I do feel like they're kind of cheeky with it sometimes when like they know like what fans wanted. I remember with like Mario Maker, like with Mario Maker 1, like one of the big things people requested with that game were checkpoints. Like checkpoints weren't initially available in Mario Maker 1, and they did a whole ass update for it. Like they did a whole trailer for it. Like, hey, here's checkpoints. Now with Mario Maker 2, they opened that trailer showing that slopes are available in the game. Like that was the biggest request with Mario Maker 1, and they opened the trailer with slopes in Mario Maker 2. Now, even when Nintendo acts like they don't listen to fans, like Operation Rainfall during the Wii days, when Nintendo of America wouldn't bring over Xenoblade Chronicles, The Last Story, Pandora's Tower. I remember Nintendo said like, oh yeah, Operation Rainfall, we know about that, but that actually didn't play a damn role at all in us bringing over these games. And I'm like, bullshit. They had too much pride to admit that fan feedback really pushed them to release those games. And look at things now. Xenoblade is like one of Nintendo's most beloved franchises, and it has gotten game after game after game. I think at the end of the day, I just kind of wanted to look back, especially over the past decade or so, of Nintendo genuinely listening to fans, because it is really easy to feel like Nintendo doesn't listen to fans. They don't care. They're just going to go by the beat of their own drum. And that is true to an extent. But I think constantly saying that, as true as it may be sometimes, really underplays how much they do actually listen to fans and how much they do actually put that into a lot of their releases. I mean, we've gotten some of our biggest dream releases from them within the past like 10 years or so. I think it's good to sit back and be thankful before we bitch about the next thing, because, you know, I love bitching about the next thing Nintendo's gonna do.